Welcome to Holistic Kids Show. My name is Zane.
My name's Abdullah.
And my name's Imad.
We're the Holistic Kids, here to educate and empower us kids from the inside out.
Hippocrates said that nature itself is the best doctor.
Who's Hippocrates?
So maybe some really old guy.
Well, unfortunately, kids today are spending 4 to 7 minutes a day in unconstructed play outdoors with over 7 hours a day in front of the screens inside. But by moving away from nature, we have had an increase in asthma, food allergies, autoimmune disorders, and even the lack of nature is affecting our brains and even our decisions.
How does nature help us?
Well, today we have an incredibly honored to have with us today the one and only Dr. Maya Shetreat. My mom has been raving about how amazing she is for years.
Well, Dr. Maya Shetreat, MD, is a neurologist, herbalist, urban farmer, and even is the author of The Dirt Cure, Healthy Food, Healthy Gut, Happy Child, which has translated into 10 different languages. And she has been featured in the New York Times, the Telegraph, NPR, Sky News, and even the Dr. Show, and so much more. Dr. Maya is the founder of the Terrain Institute, where she teaches terrain medicine, which is an earth-based programs for transformational health healing. She works and studies with indigenous communities and healers from all around the world, and is a lifelong student of ethnobotany or ethnobotany, plant healing, and we are so honored to have you on our show today. Right, Zan? Right, Imad?
Yeah, yes, right.
Well, I'm so honored to be here, and that was really such an impressive reading of a lot of words that I'm sure you have not had to tackle before. So thank you so much.
It's our pleasure.
It's our pleasure. So, how did a brain doctor go from a conventional medicine to studying herbal medicine? We would love to hear your story.
Well, before I ever went to medical school, I was actually very interested in what turned out to be holistic medicine. So I had heard really interesting stories about kids who had gotten sick and they got better with natural methods and also like mind-body methods, meaning they were given a medicine that was making them sick in order to get them better. And then they their doctors gave them something that was not the medicine anymore, but made them think it was the medicine. And they still got better without the medicine. And that's called placebo. When you give someone something that they think is a medicine, but it's not really the medicine. And I saw that people could still get better sometimes, even with placebo. And so I was like, this is what I want to do. And then I went to medical school and I worked really, really hard and did all the kind of conventional things that doctors do. But then eventually one of my little boys got sick and he had asthma, and everyone just wanted to give him lots of medicines, like medications, but he wasn't really getting better. And so I had to figure out for myself that food and certain herbs were the things that he really, really needed to get better. So that kind of brought me back to what I really wanted to do from the very, very beginning, which was to use things like food and plants and herbs and mind body to heal kids.
That is so amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing. So I have a question. What is herbal medicine?
Well, herbal medicine is when you work with plants, trees, mushrooms, different elements of the earth to heal and stay healthy.
So, how can herbal medicine help us kids?
Well, so herbs basically are things that we can take and incorporate into our lives all the time through our food, through our drinks, and sometimes we can also take them as medicine. But that can prevent us from getting sick in the first place. So you might not think about it, but actually, like if you put a little when your mom is cooking, or if you're cooking, and you put a little bit of like paprika or cayenne or another kind of or turmeric, right? Like different spices, even black pepper. All of those things are part of herbal medicine. If you drink a cup of chamomile tea, you're taking herbal medicine. So there's lots of ways that, you know, the food that you eat, ginger, cinnamon, all those things have really a lot of science that show how much they can transform us, where they actually can help our digestion, help our breathing, help protect us from cancer, like really, really amazing medicinal qualities.
So you're saying that the plants we can have outside our house can help us kids grow and heal?
Absolutely. Like even, do you know what, have you ever seen a dandelion growing outside? You know?
Yes.
Yes.
Flowers,
Yes.
right? They turn into little puffballs. Well, dandelions are actually some of the healthiest plants that you can eat. So you wouldn't just eat any dandelion, because sometimes people spray pesticides on their lawns, or, you know, maybe a dog peed on it. We don't know. But we can, you know, if you get a dandelion from like a spot that, you know, maybe in your own yard, it's actually so, so healthy in lots of different ways in our bodies, that ways that you might not even imagine. And it's just these little dandelions growing in our yard.
So my mom puts that in our smoothies. Like,
She likes to hide dandelions in our smoothies, yes.
yeah. And don't tell her, but we know that she puts mushrooms in our food.
So you talk a lot about connecting with the earth. Why is it so important for kids to connect with the earth or Mother Nature?
Well, part of the reason that we want to connect with the earth is that we're part of the earth, right? And the way that our bodies are made of all of the things that are around us. So the food that we eat makes up our bodies. It makes the protein and the carbohydrates and the fats are what build us. All the minerals make our bones, help our nerves to be healthy. Everything that happens in our bodies comes from nature. And then also there are other things like in the soil, there are all these microbes, these like bacteria and different kinds of things that grow. And some people might think that sounds yucky, but actually it's really, really important that we have some of that from the soil in our bodies, because it helps keep our immune systems healthy. It keeps our digestive tracts healthy. It even keeps our brains healthy. And it even makes us feel better. It helps our mood, so we feel happier. And the other thing about nature is that it makes us happy to be in nature. Like, do you like flowers? Do you think flowers are like nice to look at and nice,
Yes.
And smell.
right? Like we see a really pretty rose bush or like lots of flowers growing in a garden. It makes us feel happy. It makes us feel joyful and makes us feel good inside. When we hear birds chirping, you know, when we see a pretty tree or we see a pretty sunset, that's like a kind of medicine. Not the kind of medicine a doctor would give you, but it's the kind of medicine that nature gives us. And that makes us feel really, really, really good inside. And there's lots of science that shows us that that's true as well.
So how should we eat dirt to help to keep us healthy?
So the way that we get dirt is in a few ways. So we usually will call it soil. In my book, I called it the dirt cure because it's kind of like funny, because we think dirt is bad a lot of times, but really it turns out that being dirty might actually make us a little healthier. One of the ways I talk about getting dirty is by getting our hands dirty in the soil, like literally, but also eating food that grows in healthy soil, right? Because our food grows from the soil. So the soil feeds the plants and then the plants feed us, right? Or even if we eat animals, the plants feed the animals, and then the animals feed us. So it's really, really important to, first of all, be around dirt so that we breathe a little in through our nose. We get a little on our fingers and in our mouths, or like even, I don't know, do you have a garden? Do you ever grow food in a garden?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a herb garden.
Yeah. Have you ever gone to a farmer's market and maybe like bought something from like a stand at a farmer's market?
Yes.
So when you're picking plants in your garden, if it's herbs or if it's like tomatoes or anything like that, or if you're getting something from a farmer's market, there are going to be tiny little traces of dirt, of soil, and the kind of bacteria and things that are in the soil that are healthy for our bodies that are going to be on our food. Just a tiny amount. You don't actually have to like eat the dirt. We don't eat a lot of dirt. That's not necessarily a good thing. But teeny microscopic amounts help our bodies to be healthy by feeding our microbiome. Our microbiome is all the different bacteria and viruses and fungi that live in our body and help us to be healthy and happy.
So, can connecting with the earth, can it help our soul and our mind and body?
Yeah, if you think about the way that you feel. So I'm going to say one thing, the way that I learned medicine first was conventional medicine. And we really only talked about the physical body, right? Our physical body thing we see, and if you have a stomach ache or a headache. But then I learned with a lot of elders that that study a different way, right? And I learned with indigenous elders in Peru and in Ecuador and from Africa. And the way that they talk about being healthy is that we don't just have a physical body, but we also have an emotional body, which is like our feelings, and we also have a spiritual body, right? And so that's kind of like, how do we take care of our soul? That's one of our bodies, and it's really important to keep that part of ourselves healthy. So when you think about like seeing a beautiful sunset, or when you think about just like spending time in nature, like when you're outside and you're kind of playing in your backyard or taking a walk in the woods, that's a way that you're feeding your soul by connecting to the earth, where you can kind of feel that there's something a lot bigger than you in the world and a lot bigger than your own problems. We all have problems, even when we're grown-ups, right? Grown-ups have
Right.
problems too. Kids have problems. And we can get really distracted and stressed out and upset about the things that, these kinds of problems. But sometimes when we're out in nature, we see like a sunset, or we see how big the sky is, or we're in the woods and we're just like enjoying a different environment. It makes us feel differently. And it reminds us that our problems aren't necessarily as big as we might think they are.
How cool.
That is so cool. So, can how can people reconnect with nature and help realize that they're in a bigger world than just them?
Well, for me, and this is going to sound a little weird maybe, but one of the things is just by doing nothing. So we're very, very busy all the time in our world, right? Like there's screens and there's phones and there's computers and there's TVs and, lots of activities to do. And sometimes it's just daydreaming, letting yourself kind of just think about things, or really like not being so busy, just stopping, pausing. That can be a big thing. Doing things like being with your imagination. So a lot of times, like grown-ups will say to kids, like, that's just pretend. Don't worry about that. That's just pretend. Or, we have to pay attention to what's really going on. But for me, connecting with your creativity and your imagination is actually really, really an important way to connect with the earth and to connect with our soul. And then, of course, being able to see beautiful nature is also really important, because that helps us feel wonder, right? Kids naturally, I think, see a beautiful sunset and think that's beautiful, but like grown-ups can get very kind of stuck in their own little world and their own little thing. So part of how we step out of that is to go be in nature.
You talk about the earth talking to us. How does the earth talk to us?
Well, so there are a lot of ways that the earth talks to us. But, you know, a lot of times it's sort of this conversation that happens in a way that isn't in words. So like, I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but this has happened to me where I'm taking a walk in the woods and I look down and I see a beautiful feather right in front of me. And I'm like, whoa, like I've never seen a feather like that. And in fact, I have one right over there because I brought it home with me. And it was a feather from a beautiful owl, actually, a great horned owl that, I mean, I didn't see the owl, but I got to see the feather. And then I said, a couple months later, I said, you know what? I want to be able to see an owl. I wish I could see an owl. I said, I found this feather, but I really want to see an owl. And that day, about a couple hours later, my friend called me outside and she said, I see an owl. Come out and see an owl. And so I went out and there was this beautiful owl in a tree and I was able to take a picture of the owl and I saw my first owl in the daytime. And so that for me was kind of like a conversation that I was having with nature because I was like getting this nice feather and then I was like, I want to see an owl. Then I got to see the owl. And it's kind of this back and forth where you show up and you show interest. And then the earth kind of gives you something back and you get to see a beautiful feather or a bird or some other thing.
That is so interesting and so amazing.
So interesting and so amazing, like he said. How does our diet today lead us to being disconnected with the earth?
Well, a lot of people don't grow their own food. And a lot of people don't even get their food from like farmers markets or places where they can meet the person who grew their food. So we're getting food from all over the world and we don't really know who's growing it, how it's being grown. And a lot of times it's not even really fresh food. Like we can't identify where gummy bears came from, right? Or like jelly beans, right? So, or even like cereal. We imagine we know what happened when cereal became cereal, like it came from like wheat in the ground and that kind of thing, but we don't really know. And so what we call that kind of food is processed food. It's when it doesn't look like how it came out of the earth. And so that's one way that we're really disconnected because we really don't know where everything's coming from. And sometimes the food might not make us feel very well because it's not the kind of food that our bodies, have been eating and getting used to for thousands of years.
So what foods are part of herbal medicine?
Well, so as I was saying at the very beginning, spices are really amazing herbal medicine. So like especially colorful spices, all the spices we put on our food, like turmeric and cumin and ginger and cinnamon and black pepper and all those kinds of things that make our food very tasty. Other kinds of foods are actually like oregano or basil or sage, or mint. These are things that we might mix into our foods, but also drinking tea is actually, do you guys drink tea?
Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Like jasmine tea and all of those.
Green tea.
Yeah. So green tea is an herb. Exactly. And there's actually a really interesting study about green tea that it helps you focus better in school, in kids, because green tea has a little caffeine, which helps you be a little bit more attentive, right? You can concentrate better. And theanine, which is another part of green tea that helps you stay calm. So drinking green tea is a way that you can actually do better in school sometimes. So that's just another example of herbs that are in our food and in our diet. And of course, all the vegetables that we eat and a lot of the fruits also are their own kind of herbal medicine as well.
So in medicine, they say if you have a problem, here's a pill. because a lot of patients, they want their results immediately. Does it work like that in herbal medicine?
Well, herbal medicine can work very, very quickly. So it definitely can work that way. But, and you can, the difference with herbal medicine is in medicine, we might say, people will say to me, what herb do you use to treat a headache? And I say, I don't treat headaches, I treat people, right? Because in herbal medicine, we don't just treat a disease, we treat a whole person. And that's the way people have practiced herbalism for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years. Before we knew a lot of what we know now, herbal medicine worked really, really, really well for a lot of people. So one of the big differences is that we actually think about the whole person, and we think about healing them from the inside out, right? Keeping them healthy and helping them be in balance.
Are there other lifestyle tips to help optimize our health using the principles of herbal medicine?
Well, there are. I mean, of course, there are important things to do, like sleep and drinking water and getting out into nature and exercising and all of those things. And in herbal medicine, the really cool thing about herbal medicine is that you can put herbs on your skin. You can, so you don't just have to eat the herbs. You can also use them in lots of other ways. You can bathe in herbs. So like maybe one day, if your mom has never done this, she can boil some herbs and then she can use them to pour them over you. And that's another way that we actually use herbal medicine to help our mood and to help other things. So there's a lot of ways that we can engage with plants for healing.
So herbal medicine is safe for kids, but what isn't? Are there any kinds of herbs that might not be the best for some people?
Well, kids, I use almost only herbal medicine in my kids and also in my practice for kids. And there are definitely herbs that are very safe for kids, lots of herbs that are safe for kids, but there are also herbs for anybody that might not be safe, or that you need to have someone really, really experienced to give it to you. But many, many, many herbs are safe for kids and actually are part of our everyday lives. Like you wouldn't think that like you're having a cup of peppermint tea, that's kind of actually going to help your digestion go better and help your stomach ache go away. But that could happen. Or that if you can't sleep, you're drinking chamomile tea. Like we're drinking and interacting with herbal medicine all the time through what we're eating and drinking. So it's pretty safe.
So you were talking about going to these indigenous communities with all these elders and all these healers, and you talked about all these traditional practices. What are other traditional practices like these?
Well, some of the practices that they do could be like taking a whole bundle of plants and just cleaning you with a whole big brush of plants from your head all the way down to your feet. And on my website, I actually have a video of me doing that to somebody to show you, because it's so easy that you guys could even do it to each other. And it feels really, really nice. So that's something. Another thing you can do is actually what I said, you can boil herbs and put them in a bath and sit in that bath. And that's another way that the elders would use plants to help you clean and feel better and feel happier. And that's a very, very important practice through lots of indigenous communities, including the ones that I have studied. And then using sound. So like, I don't know, have you ever used like a rattle?
No. Kind of.
So there's a lot of really important, they use seeds inside rattles, and that's a way that they actually help people to feel better, using seeds, using drums. So making instruments out of plants And by moving the instruments and shaking the instruments and, things like that, actually helping people feel better with sound. And that's another way that traditional healers will work with plants.
So we or our parents make our own herbal medicine?
Definitely we can make our own herbal medicine. All you need is the plant and some water to make tea. And as I've said, that's a really important medicine, and I use that a lot. And tea is something you can drink, or like if you, for example, got a bee sting or a bad mosquito bite, there are certain teas you could put right on your skin with a little compress, and that would make the itch or the pain go away. But I also make medicines in honey. So I'll soak certain things like rose petals in honey, and then I'll strain out the rose petals and keep the honey. And that's something that can be really good medicine for people. And even vinegar. So there are ways to use vinegar, and there's something I make called fire cider, and I have a free video for it on my website at drmaya.com, a whole video of how to make fire cider, which keeps your immunity really, really high all through the winter. So there's lots and lots of ways to make herbal medicine, and it's actually much easier than most people think.
So we hear a lot about grounding. I mean, like, not like the grounding like parents say, you're grounded when the child is in trouble. Is that the grounding that when you go outside and touch the ground with your feet? Is that important? How long should kids be going outside daily?
Well, grounding is really, really important. And one of the ways that you ground is like if you're sitting outside on the ground, right? You could put like a blanket down, or like, I don't know if kids do this now, but I used to roll down hills. Is that a thing that kids do? Do you guys do that?
Yes, we do that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
I really used to like doing that. So that's really fun. Or climbing a tree, or even just leaning against a tree, or sitting the earth, basically, whether it's a tree or a rock or the ground, then you are grounding. And what that does is it actually it changes a lot of things in your body, and there's lots of science that's been done on that. So it is really important because it can help you concentrate better. It can help you sleep better. There's something called inflammation in our bodies, and that's like stuff that can make us feel more pain, or make us feel more itchy, or make us have more health problems. So it actually can help reduce inflammation. So grounding is awesome. And I just like how it feels, right? Like rolling down a hill, that feels really, 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 really good. So it's really good to do that every day, and for as long as you can, right? I mean, if most of us don't have time to do that all day, every day, but even if you can do it for like 10 or 15 minutes, that's going to always help us to feel better. And it's also really, really good to get out in sunshine, because sunshine also is really, really, really important for our health. So when you're grounding, you can also be getting sunshine at the same time.
That was amazing. What is one thing kids can start today to help overall health and healing?
I think the biggest thing that you can do is go outside and hug a tree. What do you think? Have you ever hugged a tree before?
We go on hikes a lot, and our mom tells us, hug a tree, any tree.
And do you?
The small ones, the thin ones.
Do you like to hug trees, or you just do it because your mom tells you to?
No,
we like to.
You like to? Yeah. Yeah, I like to hug trees too. And people think it's silly, maybe, but I think secretly they actually go and then try themselves after they see someone else do it, because a lot of times people just need the permission to do things that they otherwise wouldn't do. So you guys hugging trees are showing other people that they also can hug trees. And I think that reminds us that we have this really cool connection with nature that makes us feel really, really good.
We also we hug the tree and then we climb the tree.
Awesome. I think both of those are really, really good things to do.
You are doing amazing work. Where can people learn more about you and your work? Please tell us about your courses.
Well, people can find out about everything that I'm doing at my website, which is drmaya, drmaya.com. And on that website, I have a lot of free resources, videos and different things that people can, so they can learn stuff about grounding. They can learn, I have meditations for the earth, lots of really fun stuff. And then I also have courses. And so they can learn about the kinds of courses that I teach and my certification program, where I teach people a lot of these practices, mostly grown-ups, but we do have some young people who come through as well, who study with me, and so that they can become leaders who bring all of this kind of knowledge to whatever it is that they're doing in their communities.
Thank you so much, Dr. Maya. That was so empowering. Everyone make sure to follow Dr. Maya on social media. And her book and courses are a must get. She will change your life forever, just like she has changed ours. Thank you so much, Dr. Maya. Let's recap Dr. Maya's key points.
Spending some time in nature can actually de-stress us and even lower inflammation, boost the immune system, and restores our brain connection. It also improves overall brain health and higher prefrontal cortex activation, and better mood, and you're even able to focus and sleep better. Herbal medicine is an important tool to help our bodies heal and stay healthy because we are part of the earth.
Being outside in nature makes us feel better and makes us feel happy. Getting out and being exposed with dirt can help our microbiome. Make sure to eat your medicine in the forms of spices, herbs, teas, and mushrooms. Drinking green tea can help us kids concentrate in school.
And nature helps us connect with our soul and do nothing and wake up to a natural sunlight and spend some time outdoors. When you wake up, sunshine is super important for our health.
Build a garden, build a fort, hug a tree, and go on a hike.
Because they're so beneficial for you and for your for your gut and all of your little bugs inside of you or the microbiome. And grounding or earthing or putting your feet on the ground helps put our bodies back into balance and even helps us sleep better, lowers pain, and balances the nervous system. We love rolling down a hill and go outside every day. 10, even just 10 to 15 minutes will help you. And nature creates peace.
Time to get back to the earth to help us heal. Dr. Maya has amazing recipes for making your own herbal medicine. She says it's super easy, so we should all try it today. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zain Ansari.
I'm Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom MD. And look out for my mom's book, The Holistic RX, your guide to healing chronic inflammation and disease. And we are so excited to announce our mom's new books. The Holistic RX for kids, parenting, healthy brains, and bodies in a changing world, and the amazing children's book we wrote together called Adam's Healing Adventure. And it's just and the power of rainbow foods. So check it out on Amazon. Yay! If you order today, you'll get lots of free gifts, and we all love free gifts. Kids need to learn from other kids. Please download our podcast in iTunes and leave a review so other kids and families can benefit. We need to work together to create a healthier future for all of us and the planet. Join us next week for another episode of a Holistic Kids Show, where kids are empowering kids. Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.